want their project supported and don't understand that they're in a long list of people who want their project supported. I didn't mean to come in and vent first thing this morning. Look around, see if there's somebody you haven't met, and please say hello to them. Yes, I want it on, please. As much as y'all can move up and in, I appreciate it. Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, there she is. I was looking for you, but okay, so make sure you're here. You were the person I was looking for. All right, we're here. It's a great day to be alive. We prosper and are in health even as our souls prosper. We have prosperous souls, prosperous imaginations. We are creative. We are creating a great day today as we enter this month of September. It's the greatest month that we've ever experienced. We're excited about the change of seasons. We're excited about the fall. We're excited about all the good things that are out there in the atmosphere that we've already spoken into existence that are coming up. Some of them 30-fold, some of them 60-fold. Some of them are 100-fold and about ready to reap. We walk into freedom. We walk into blessing. We walk into life. We embrace energy. And as David said, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Wherever that house is, we're glad. We are glad to be here. We are in agreement today, and everybody said, amen. Let's run this. We got a new one in the works. We should have a new one in a couple of weeks, but if you could play that, there we are.
Good morning, and welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and network. Today is your day to find your Metron.
Good morning, buenos dias, bonjour. We're glad that you're here. Welcome to Metron. Glad to see you, and I hope you've had an excellent week. When I first started Metron, the first person I had in mind to be our Artist of the Month, which I'm very committed to the Artist of the Month concept. I love it. I love it for a lot of reasons, some of which are none of your business. But for the most part, I just love it because it's interesting to me to see how Spirit brings giftings together and makes them work in tandem. But the first person, I knew I couldn't get this thing started without this amazing woman, and she's the real deal. She, before she agreed to do it, she watched my whole video about explaining what Metron was. She said, you're my pastor, so I want to know, where are you going with this? What's it all about? She said, I watched it. I get it. I get what you're doing. I know I'm her pastor. I know I'm Larry's pastor. For one reason, they took me to lunch a few weeks ago, and I said, I know this, but remind me, how did you find the church? Refresh me on how we made the connection. Larry actually made the connection first. So he came home. He said, I knew you were my pastor from the get-go. And I said, I came home. Chandra was touring somewhere, and he said, I have found our church. I found our pastor. She says, well, not so fast. We're a partnership here. She didn't say, you just don't tell me who our pastor is, but that's kind of what she was implying. And she said, let me go check it out. And she said, I had such a good time the first time I was there. I immediately got what you were doing. I was laughing at everything you were saying. She said, I was there for several weeks enjoying myself, and it didn't even dawn on me until somebody said, is he black or white? She said, I honest to God had to think a minute, like, wait, what is he? And she said, yeah, I guess he identifies as white. And it's one of my favorite things anybody's ever told me, because I thought, I love that people are spiritually in tuned enough to see your spirit first. I'm not saying the other stuff isn't real, but I just love that. That was very next level. It reminded me of when, I've told you this before, but the Jewish guy that I counseled with one time, and he said, now I'm going to come to you for counseling. He said, but I don't see Jesus the way you see Jesus. He said, my wife comes to church here and she loves it, but It's really not my thing, you know. He said, I like what you teach, but I'm never going to see Jesus the way you see him. And I said, well, how do you sit through my teaching since it's so much New Testament, it's so much about Jesus? He said, it doesn't bother me to hear you talk about Jesus. He said, no offense, but I don't really think of you as a Christian. I think of you as the leader of the new people. And I said, that's perhaps my favorite thing anybody's ever said to me. And he said, yeah. He said, in my house, I call you my rabbi. He said, but I don't really think you're Jewish. He said, I just think you're something else. So I love that when people say, behold, what manner of man is this? I love when they say that about you. I love when they say that about Metron. What is Metron? I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. You just have to come and check it out. So without any further ado, we are blessed because this woman is a bona fide star. And you've seen her on, I was thinking about all the places I've seen her. Anytime there's any stage she's on in Atlanta, I love to go and support. And from back when you were doing the Gospel Jesus Christ Superstar at the over there at the Alliance, that was so cool. And that thing you did over on 14th Street when you were drunk and all that, I was like, well, that's a side of Chandra I hadn't seen, but she wasn't drunk. Her character was. I just know you're like, Chandra was drunk. Well, no, the character was. It was a really cool role, and I've seen her in things in the Fox, Tyler Perry. I've seen her on them. I was sitting in this very theater watching Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and the place was packed. And I'm sitting next to this woman, and when Chandra comes up, I said, "Excuse me, that woman goes to my church. I pastor church. She goes to my church." She said, "Sir, I'm trying to enjoy the music." I said, "I know, but I just wanted to tell you that I know her. Okay? I can't enjoy the song unless somebody else knows that." All right, I need to shut up and bring her on. Would you please welcome the inimitable, amazing Chandra Corelli. Chandra! She's in this mic. Hey, you're beautiful. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome.
Hello, Metron. Say this. The truth is, it's my choice. But I still can't do it without God. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Oh, whoa. You just sit there wondering what's gone wrong in your life. Don't have a clue, but it's all on you to choose what's right. The truth is that I was sent for you, and I've been watching you. The truth is that it's you who has to choose, but I'll still be watching you. You'll get tired of this doubt, and you're gonna want a way out. Don't worry, don't cry, I'm is there, no lie. Oh yes, oh there's heartbreak. It's there on your face. The truth is, all is that the love I have is for you, and I'll be watching you. The truth, oh, it's here. You have no clue, but I'll still be watching you. No matter where you've been before, I'm here to open a brand new door. it won't be easy, but it'll heal. And you'll know hope is here. Everything I have is yours. You can imagine what's in store. All you got to do is let me inside the door. The door. The truth. I am the truth. And I've been watching you. Oh, yes, I've been watching you. Yes, oh, yes. Giving you the truth. I've given you the truth. I've given you the truth. Yeah, oh, yes. Oh, talking about the truth. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, the truth and the life. Oh, the truth and the life. Truth and life. Truth and life. Giving you the truth. Yeah. Oh, I'm giving you, yes. I've given you. Yes. Woo, the truth. Told y'all this fan up here. I know Bishop liked the fan, right? But ain't no shaming. But sometimes I like the fan. You know, I have my own summers. I like the fan. I carry my own personal fan. What I love about it is, when I look in the mirror, I see my God. I see my light, my life, reflection of my Father. Night and the Spirit of life calling, oh, Mama Mila, and our voice, the fear of a child answers, oh, Mama Mila. Wait, there's no mountain too great. Hear these words and have faith. Oh, have faith. He lives in you. He lives in me. He watches over everything we see, into the waters deep, into the truth, in your reflection, he lives in you. He lives in you. Sing it with me. He lives in me. He watches over everything we see, into the waters, and to the truth, in your reflection, he lives in you. Oh, he lives in you, yeah. Oh, mama sondere mamange ringe mawaya ye ringo sondara manyange bombanye rombombi pande oh yes, through the waters, through the waters. Deep in your heart, he knows. Deep in your heart, he knows the truth, the truth. Little, yeah, he lives. Oh, my Father lives. Oh, my Father lives. Oh, my Father lives. Yeah. Living in my heart, living in my mind, living in my soul. He lives, yes, he lives. Yes. And your reflection when you look at yourself, when you look at yourself, when you see in your heart the goodness of God, yeah. Rungo mama singe manande, tengo mama ne signore che no mo sandere gande andaro, mama me sande no mo, tenga no mo sandere che mo na ye ha, ye no mo ye buye no te, rungo mama che sande. Ringo mama sinde, mama mama sinde, ringe gongo, yeah, oh yeah, humbe, oh yeah, humbe se, oh yeah. Yes, thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Shonda Corelli. So good. So good. Oh my God. Oh my God. You may be seated. Woo! I needed that, Jesus. There's none like you. If you happen to have prepared a third one, I'm about to bring you back up at the end if you're still around. That's okay. Just because while I got you here. If you don't know, that was that's the song from the Broadway show The Lion King, and the point of it is when Simba feels like he's lost his father, and Rafiki tells him, well, he lives in you. If you look in the reflection, you'll see Mustafa in the reflection. But it's such a spiritual truth. First time I heard that song, I thought, this is really talking about. This isn't about. I mean, it's about that, but it's about this. And of course, nobody could do it better than Chandra. Of course, I hear music and everything. I don't want to get tested. I don't want to tell me I have Asperger's or something, but I hear everything tells. There's an Invocana commercial they have. And every time they say Invocana, I'm like, Invocana, Invocana. It was meant to be a joke. Y'all are like, Bishop has Asperger's? No, that's it. Y'all missed the point. Lighten up. I just hear. Like there's a way that I know y'all are gonna think y'all are gonna report me when I tell you. There's a way the MARTA train sounds when it comes in. It hits this note and it sounds totally like blinded by the light. It's just I wait for it every time. And one day, Ken and I were standing there. I said, "Do you hear that?" I said, "Where he goes, wee, don't you hear like blinded?" And he said, "No, not really." I said, "Probably shouldn't have said that out loud." But I hear some of that all the time. Like on my Navigator, there was a way that I can't believe why I'm telling you all this stuff. It must be cold medicine. It's making me talk. It could be an interesting ride this morning. But there's a way that it was a little blinker on my Navigator that would go da da, and the way it did it was the exact same intonation as when Swilley sees Nettie. She thinks she sees her on the railroad tracks. She goes, Nettie, like that. It would do the same thing. And I said that to somebody one time. I said, did that sound like The Color Purple? Again, they don't respond to me. But I hear, well, look, David said the trees are clapping their hands and the waves are praising the Lord. If you heard David talking today, you would think he's either smoking something or, you know, or he is tapped into something in the earth. It's an interesting thing. It's kind of sort of what I was thinking about talking about today is tapping into our connection with the earth, our connection with the universe, our connection with nature. Um, I was having this conversation with somebody last week that there's a movement among fitness people, and it's kind of yoga-ish, new age-ish, but it's called grounding, and they tell you to once a week to actually stand on the earth barefoot, that your body has to calibrate with the earth. And there's, you know, sometimes I hear some of that and I think that just sounds kind of crazy, but then you think about like when the tsunami happened in Sri Lanka. Remember when the animals knew it days ahead of time and they had already run up to high country? So clearly animals tap into something that is programmed into the earth. And so I don't want to just say that that kind of stuff is nonsense. You know, I think, well, maybe there is something to that. And the reason I say that, you know, we're here, tomorrow is Labor Day. And I know the official beginning of autumn isn't until a couple of weeks into September, but technically autumn really starts tomorrow. I mean, it'll still be hot here, but you know, technically summer starts after Memorial Day and fall starts after Labor Day. And I was thinking, I was talking to somebody the other day about this whole thing about seasons. It occurred to me recently that I don't have a favorite season. The other day I met Avery we do our weekly little staff meeting lunch, and it was so hot that day. And I started to say, good Lord, I can't wait for August to be over. But I stopped myself because I said, you know what? Time is going so fast. I'm going to blink and August is going to be over anyway. So there's no point in me wishing it away. There are some great things about the hot weather that I'm just going to enjoy. I'm going to say it's summertime. I embrace it. This is when you can wear your shorts and your sandals and your whatever. So you might as well just enjoy it because it'll be fall before you know it. And the reason I'm saying that is I think many times we're so out of touch with the earth, with the fact that even as she's saying he lives in you, the earth lives in us. Even the way Moses gives his narrative of creation, he says that God formed Adam out of the dust of the earth. So even out of his idea of how God created everything, it's like we came out of something. We were born out of the earth. And so this idea about seasons is very important because it seems to me most of the counseling that I do, and I still do a load of counseling. A lot of it's online now. A lot of it's, over the phone, but it's still, I've talked to people in crisis. And the number one thing usually is people are dealing with a feeling of unworthiness. But the other thing is people don't have the ability to let things go. They can't let things go. They can't let a season be ended and then move into a different season. And it's made me think about it today. Like we're going to go down to Florida for 2 or 3 days and sort of wring the last little bit out of summer that we can. Ken's got an uncle he's in hospice and he's been like hanging on for weeks. You know, for weeks is that kind of place where they're saying he's not going to make it through the night. Well, earlier in the week, I said, and I know Ken's watching right now, is if your uncle doesn't go today, we may have to make some plans, because if he doesn't go today, that means the funeral wouldn't be till after Saturday, which means we'll need to. And if we're going to do that, you need to let me know, because I got to make some phone calls, because I've already scheduled, flights and rental car and all that kind of stuff. So we were trying to figure out how to work it out. So yesterday he called. He said, well, Clifford's still with us. My dad, he said, I've been here every night. He said, my dad is going to Darlene's house and be back Monday. He said, Clifford's son's not here. He said, everybody else seems to be at peace with it. He said, I think we should go on the trip. I said, all right, but what if we land in Florida tomorrow? And he says, well, I've already told him bye. I said, okay, from your mouth to God's ear. I just don't want to force you to leave. And then we never, it's always a little problem with us. And I wasn't, whatever. And the point is about even the people in your life, loved ones that have gone on or whatever, some of you have been through it where they're not going to be well on this side. They're not going to recoup. They're not going to be as you remembered them. And you don't want to say it's time for you to go on, but there really is a blessing to it when they finally, especially if you believe they're going somewhere and they're going to be at peace and they're not going to be in any pain. It's kind of like that Dr. Seuss saying that says, "Don't cry that it's over, smile that it happened," and remember that you had something with somebody, and then know that, well, that season is over, and I don't regret any time that I had with this person, but I don't want them to be here and suffer because the season has changed in their life, and that it's never going to come back. And I just see it everywhere how important it is to realize that summer's going to be over in a few hours, not because summer was bad, just because it's just time for fall. Somebody asked me a while back, because there's a group of people that still aren't real happy with the fact that I closed Church of the Now, and they, in very passive aggressive ways, they let me know it. And somebody wrote me recently. They said, "Do you even miss Church of the Now?" And I wrote them back. I said, "Frankly, no." And I love it, and I'm proud of it, and I love to post pictures of it and videos of, especially when it was real big and we had all the music cranking. It didn't get any better than that. So yeah, I'm glad that we have that. I'm glad if you look on my YouTube page, there's a whole channel that's just Church of the Now stuff. And I do think it's funny that the people who have been the most vocal are the people who didn't support, didn't show up that much. I thought, well, you weren't there when I was there for weeks on end. You just wanted to know that it was, that's happened to me a few times lately. Like I'll ride by and there's some restaurant that I really liked and it closed. And I think, oh man, I can't believe that restaurant closed. And I think, well, when did I go there last? It's probably been 2 years since I was there. So maybe I'm part of the reason why it closed. Because if you had asked me, do you love it? I'm like, oh my God, yes. They have got such, but I didn't go there. And so, I said, I don't mean this in any bad way. I love it. I'm proud of it. I will always talk about it. The reason I have a platform now is because of that church and the success we have. Do I want to go back there? No, I'm in a different season, and I love the season that I'm in. I can love the fall without hating the summer. I can love the winter without hating the fall. And I realized about a year ago, because I used to say fall was always my favorite season, but I realized recently, I thought, no, I don't really have a favorite season. There's parts of all of them that I really love. And I don't want to get us all weirded out about aging, but every time we make a revolution around the sun, that thing's going faster and faster. I mean, y'all know it is. So there's no point in hanging on to anything because it's moving so fast anyway. I want it to be cold weather, well, just hang on a minute and it will be, and then it'll be warm again. So you might as well carpe diem and enjoy where you are. And I'm not just talking about physical seasons. I'm saying all the seasons of your life. I loved when my kids were small. I was a very hands-on father. I was in the room when all 4 of them were born. I changed diapers. For Jared and Christina, I was a single dad for a couple of years, and when they were really small. So I did the dad thing for small kids. I don't miss that at all. I love it. I'll look back at pictures of them and go, oh, they were so adorable. I don't for a minute want to go back to that. I was like, been there, done that. I love that they are all adults now, and I discuss their life choices with them, but I don't really even give them that much input anymore. Now I'm like, well, if that's what makes you happy, if that's what you want to do, go with God. Because I know people used to say stuff to me when I was making decisions that they thought was the right thing for me, and I would think, hey, you don't know me at all. If that's what you think I want to do, you clearly have no idea who I am. Have you ever noticed when somebody tells you what they think you should do, and you think, you obviously have never met me, or you have no insight whatsoever as to what I value. And so you have to learn to listen and let it go in one ear and out the other. But this whole thing about navigating the earth, navigating the seasons, learning to embrace it, learning to let go. I read something recently I kind of wish I hadn't read because I knew it was true, but I kind of wish I didn't know it was true. And this is coming from a paradigm of somebody who believes in evolution. But they said basically what happens is Mother Nature brings you into the into the mix so that you can reproduce. That's how the species maintains. And that once you've done your thing, it's like the tide in the ocean. It starts taking you out, and you can fight it all you want to, but basically Mother Nature is saying to you, you did your thing, which you can harmonize with the scripture. The first commandment was be fruitful and multiply. So whether it's God or nature, whatever, say you did your thing, you propagated, and you're done now. So I kind of wish I hadn't read it, because I'm like, I want to swim against the tide. Like, don't take me out yet. And so we do what we can. We color our hair, and I don't, but some of us do. And I just say, more power to you. Try to hang on to to that little season. But that was a season. And then I look at. I was laughing the other day because my cousin, she's just a little bit younger than me, and we did a thing the other night for my parents' anniversary, and we were standing around the piano singing, and she in every video is fanning as hard as she possibly can. I said, I know what time it is, little sister. And it's funny because in my head she's 8, but she ain't. And we were laughing. But it's a season, and there's some of you that can understand why when Sarah heard that she was going to give birth, that she laughed, because she was saying, well, that season is way over for me, and I wasn't even part of the season when it was my season. So yes, I do believe that there are with the miraculous, there's always exceptions to the rule, but seasons are important, and to learn how to adjust your sails and to realize, okay, my kids were small, now they're this age, and I'm gonna enjoy every season I'm in with them. And those of you that have grandchildren know that's a whole other season that has a blessing all to itself. It's like you will not understand it until you have grandkids, but there's a totally different feel that you have, because you're such a different person, and you don't feel the stress of parenting. It's kind of like you just get to enjoy the really fun part of raising children. And I used to hear people say that about grandkids, and I think, oh, whatever. But they're absolutely right. It feels entirely different, and there's no point in wishing you were back to the other one, because this season is so blessed. And I talk about this a lot, about even embracing your age and that kind of stuff. All kidding aside, with Mother Nature, etc. But there are advantages to aging. I went over last night and had a bite with my parents, and Mom was saying that somebody wanted them to meet them for dinner, and she said that time of day in traffic, I just didn't want to drive in traffic. I just didn't want to do it. She said, I know what the traffic's like there, and she says, no, if you can meet us somewhere else, I will, but I'm not driving all the way over there. And the person got really sarcastic with them and said, you're going to have to drive a car. You're going to be able to get back home. And I said, you know what? You're to an age, if you don't want to go somewhere, you shouldn't have to go. I mean, I'd love for y'all to come to Metron, but I'm not going to yell at you about coming and then get you on Ponce de Leon and you have a wreck because I was yelling at you. So that's not my intention. So that's the good thing about after you've lived a while, after you've already been through peer pressure and popularity contests, that kind of stuff, you're like, I want people to like me, but it's not quite as important as it was when I was an adolescent. And that becomes part of the seasonal change. I hear from a lot of people around 50, a lot of closeted gay people will contact me and say, I'm really thinking about coming out. And I'll say, how old are you? And they'll tell me. And I said, it's interesting. I hear from so many people around that age because, when you pass a certain age, you do take inventory of your life and you say, well, who am I living my life for? Am I just trying to please some people who want me to be a certain way? Or am I just going to be true to who I know I've always been and always am going to be? And I said, a lot of people can't do that at 40. They can't do it at 30. They sure can't do it at 25. But when you get to be 50, you're like, hey, you know what? This is who I am. Deal with it. Not just with sexual orientation. I mean, with anything. At a certain point, you have to just evaluate how much time do I have left, and am I going to live the rest of it dancing to somebody else's music, or am I going to do what's right for me? And it's not always an easy choice, but it makes more sense to you if you understand seasons. Seasons means that when something's over, you don't have to cry that it's over. It means that you can look back and enjoy it. I'm sure I've said this before, but there's in The King and I, Rodgers and Hammerstein's about Anna and the King of Siam. She plays Anna is a widow, and that's why she takes the job of going to Siam to become this missionary. And there's a line in the song, "Hello, young lovers, wherever you are," where she says, "Don't cry for me, young lovers, wherever you are, whoever you are. I've had a love of my own." And that's a beautiful way to understand seasons. She's saying, I look at young people in love and I'm not jealous of them because I did that. I had that. And so don't cry for me. I enjoyed that part of my life. If that part of my life is over with now, I'm fine in this part of my life. And that to me that's righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Ghost. That's when you get your arms around your life and say, I've had some good times and some bad times through many dangers, toils, and snares. I have already come, but this is where I am now. And to tie it into what Chandra was saying earlier, because I believe that song is so prophetic and it's very timely for me today, is ideally what's supposed to happen is through all of the changes, through all of the transition, what is supposed to be happening is the divine part of you is supposed to be revealed. Like when you say, I'm just going to be me, really what you're saying is, if you're doing it the right way, is I'm just going to be who God is in me. I mean, I would say I'm just going to be God, but some people don't like the way that sounds. But that really is, that kind of is the whole point, is that he lives in us. And the reason why you got through some of the seasons is because of the divine part of you that is the God in you. And there's the scripture in, very familiar with 1 Corinthians 13, where he says, in the King James, it says, now we see through a glass darkly, but then shall we see face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. What the Greek actually says is now we see in a mirror dimly, meaning you're not looking through a glass to something else. You're looking at your own reflection and you're polishing it. And what happens is little by little, you're beginning to see, oh, I look like God. I am who God says I am. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing about DNA, because when I was little, I used to hear people say, oh, he looks just like his mother. I used to hear it all the time. I couldn't even see it. I just thought I looked like me. But when I look back at pictures of when I was little, I think, yeah, I did look like her. As I've gotten older, I can see I much more look like my dad. I can see I look like her, but that was always in me, and that in aging, that's being revealed. Fortunately, my dad's a nice-looking man at his age, so I have something good to look forward to. If he fell apart at his age, I think, oh, snap. See if I can tap into the Park side a little more. But Swilley still look good. So I have no issue with that. But it is interesting how, as you age, you see, oh, this is who I really look like. It was interesting when, I hope this doesn't sound morbid, but I remember when my dad's mom passed away. She was Church of God, so she never wore makeup. She thought wearing makeup was sinful. Where her sister sold makeup, loved makeup. She was, totally a different kind of thing. And I remember when they had an open casket, and grandmother, she had lost a lot of weight right at the last, and whoever did her really made her up, and she looked exactly like Jewel. I was like, where's grandmother? That's her sister. I'd never seen her look like that, but that's who she was all along. And so what is happening every time the evolution takes place of the seasonal change, it's another layer that's taken off of you. And what is supposed to happen, and this is why you got to get the forgiveness piece, and you got to stay away from strife. I can tell you, even this week, if I may be transparent, I let myself get into a little strife over something, and I immediately felt it in my body. I've gotten to a place now, it's like I have no strife tolerance. I can't, it's not a matter of I can't argue with it. It's like I'm so pure now, I'm so sensitive that I can't afford it. Does that make sense? If you're all contaminated and full of horrible stuff, people can say all kind of stuff to you and you don't even care. But when you're kind of spiritually, you've been cleansed, strife, even just the smallest things will really affect you. James 3:16 says, where there's envy and strife, there's confusion and every evil work. And that's one reason I got off the grid this week, because I was just reading the stuff people were posting on Facebook, and it was really starting to oppress me. And a lot of people were wanting me to talk about this woman in Kentucky that refused the things. And it's like, there's nothing more I can say about that. That's ridiculous. She's not a religious martyr. And I can see how people on the other side are going to make her that. And she is not that. And there's no way I can say something about it without bringing up the fact that she's been married 4 times and all that kind of stuff. And it's just going to get ugly. And I was reading stuff that people were posting on both sides. I thought, good God, the homophobes and the gay people are all irritating me this week. And I already got some strife issues going on. I cannot deal with y'all. It's like it's too, if that's your calling to speak out, that's fine. But for me, I've got to find a way to build a bridge with people. I've got to make peace. And a lot of people say, well, you can't, because there's other people on the other side that are never going to see your side. Well, then that's fine. If that's the world you want to visualize, then you live in that. But I can't do it. I'm a bridge builder. I'm a world healer. That woman is just somebody who's breaking the law. And, there's nothing else to say about it. Everything that can be shaken is being shaken. And all of that religious hypocrisy is being shown for what it is. And it's going to take care of itself. So there's no point in me jumping on the bandwagon. Now, today I may read something that'll tick me off, and I think, I'm doing a video anyway. And then you go, well, there he goes. But as of this week, I thought, I got to tap into some serenity, and I got to choose peace. I'm going to be honest with you. It shook me a little bit that Wayne Dyer died. I know he was 75, but I don't like the fact that a man like Wayne Dyer could get cancer. And it makes me want to look into, say, all right, I know those principles he talks about are true. Just like I felt I thought Kenneth Hagin was going to live to be 100. And when he didn't, well, then I need to look into what is the truth there, and not take it personal that not everything was fleshed out in this person's life. And I'll try to make it work in my life then. Instead of saying, oh, that stuff doesn't work, I want to say, well, then I've got to make it work, because there's something deeply in me that resonates that is the truth. And whether it's a faith teacher or it's any of these guys, if they're speaking truth, I don't want to cut myself off to any truth. I don't understand why people want to cut themselves off from truth. I've told you this story before, but years ago when I used to do a lot of street ministry, if it was raining, I would go to the hospitals, and I would just go from room to room and witness to people. And, you had a captive audience in there. And I was probably 20 at the time. And I remember I went to this young guy's room. He was my age, and he was married. He was sitting there. His wife was sitting by the bed. And I said, I'm a local minister. I'm just going from room to room praying for people. And I want to know, can I pray for you? What's your issue? And he said, well, I have an infection in my leg, and if it doesn't get better, they're going to take my leg off tomorrow. Well, there's never a good time to lose your leg, but when you're 20, really? So I said, his wife hadn't said a thing. I said, well, Jesus, I said, are you a Christian? He said, yeah, we're both Christians. He told me what denomination they were. I said, well, Jesus said if we lay hands on the sick, they'll recover. I said, let me just at least pray for you, and let's believe for the best and believe that we'll get another diagnosis. All of a sudden, she put her magazine down and she says, are you charismatic Pentecostal? I said, yeah, I guess. And she says, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in the laying on of hands. We don't believe in divine healing. If it's God's will for him to lose his leg, then he's going to have to lose his leg. And we just say, Lord, let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And he's looking at me like, please come back and pray for me in a minute, And I'm looking at him like, seriously? Really? This is what your wife is saying? I'm thinking, whatever about theology. If you're about to take my leg off, bring in a shaman, snake handlers, rattle some beads, do a rain dance. Let's do everything we can to save the leg. I don't think Jesus is going to be mad. We love Jesus, but let's try it all. What prayer have you got? Hail Mary, full of grace. Now I lay me down to sleep. God is great. God is good. What you got? God grant me the serenity. Come on up. I'll pray anything you got. Hare Krishna, Shambhala, whatever. Invocana. And I remember just leaving there thinking, man, religion is so horrible that somebody couldn't even break out of their ideology just to say, well, our pastor's not here, so let's try that. And I thought, man, religion, people really are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So I'm trying to tap in, what is Spirit saying to me and through me today? I'm just gonna be honest with you. I wrote the tech people last night because usually I give them my outline for the day, and I will always by the first of the month will give them the topic for the month so that they can find their graphics, all that kind of stuff. And I try to do it as early in the day as I can. Sometimes I don't make the desired deadline, but it gets there. And I wrote on my side. I said I don't have it. I don't have the topic. I don't have the outline. I'm going to take some NyQuil and go lay down, and we'll play tomorrow by ear. So I woke up this morning and I said, all right, Spirit, what do I say to the people? And what I hear is just go in there and talk. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm just curious. I've been talking for about 20 minutes. Is there anything I said so far that resonated? I'm not asking for a compliment. I'm asking for a confirmation. Is there anybody that needed to hear what I said? Okay. So on the basis of that, I'm going to believe that the Holy Spirit is real, that I am called, and that if everything doesn't exactly go as the typical routine, there could very well be a reason for it. Sometimes there's something that you're supposed to say that if it's not on your radar screen because of your topic, you might not get it said. So I have learned now to say, all right, well, then sometimes I'm just going to have to go in there and talk. I do know this. When she started singing He Lives in You, I thought, okay, that. I love the song anyway, but especially that was a word for me today. Even when you don't see Him in you, when you don't feel Him in you, even when you say, I'm keeping it super real today. I said some things this week that I don't think He would say. Is that too much? You heard me? Okay, just want to make sure I'm among friends. Y'all feel me, dog? All right. Just keeping it 100. But He still lives in me, and He still lives in you. And it's what I love about the lyric of that song. It says, in your reflection. And sometimes it's the people in your life that reflect back who you are, who, the role that they play in your life to help show you who God is. Because there are situations that we have with people where they are so loving, they are so forgiving, they are so understanding, they are so able to look beyond what is temporal about us and see what is eternal. They're so able to be fine with the human, but also completely recognize the divine, that there are things they do and say that really show you who God is. And I don't believe you can know God without that. Scripture says, how can you say you love God who you haven't seen if you don't love your neighbor or your brother who you have seen? And so when someone shows you unconditional love, what's happening is God is showing you what unconditional love is like. Otherwise, how else would you know it? When someone gives to you, they're showing you the benevolent nature of God. Otherwise, how else would you know it? He says, if you give, men shall give unto your bosom good measure, pressed down, shaken together. Well, it obviously doesn't float down out of heaven. It doesn't appear like manna on the ground. What is it? It's something that comes through human instrumentation, and they give it to you, and you go, oh, I love that person, but I saw God. Um, that's why relationships are so important. That's why, of all the things that I could be proud of in my life, and I'm proud of any accomplishments I've made. I'm proud of the books I've written, proud of the songs I've written. I mean, I am. You know, that your work is a large part of who you are, and I put a lot of time and effort into those things, and so I'm proud of them. I'm glad I did some stuff to help make a mark. Avery told me we sold 4 books on Amazon.com this week, and I don't know to whom. It's nobody I know. So there's clearly people still out there that are buying the product. So that's cool. I'm glad to know that that still goes on. And it's interesting. I mean, sometimes some weeks it'll be the very first book I wrote. It's not always the last book, you know. So who knows what people have a need for. But I've quoted Jeff a couple of times from what he said to me a few weeks ago. But he said, you know, look at these people who have stayed with you, most of them for decades, and have navigated through all of your seasons. He said, I don't know many people that have maintained that kind of connection. And that, honestly, I'm proud of that complex on I-20. I'm proud of it and always will be. But I'm actually more proud of this, because if I didn't still have this, I don't know that that would make much sense. You know what I mean? It's like if there wasn't something real that was built with people that was beyond acreage and brick and mortar, then the kingdom of God in my mind wasn't really real. It was interesting this past Tuesday night. This week was they actually have a Black Gay Pride in Atlanta. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. So they do interfaith service at a church that would be labeled a gay church. And there's several, you know, pretty successful gay churches here in the Atlanta area, and I know the pastors, and I've preached in a couple of their churches. And so they asked me to speak, and several local pastors said something, and so I did my thing. I said my thing. Fred came out. Avery was there. I didn't really announce it because I wasn't really teaching, you know. Avery, that's all right. I'm bringing some books for you. So I said, Avery, I'm not really teaching tonight. Don't drive all the way in from Madison. But Ernie and Avery drank the Kool-Aid sometime back. So I could tell. I said, I'm just saying, I'm not requiring you to drive all the way in because I'm just speaking 10 minutes. But she did, and so there you have it. But when we got through, because I'm just very perceptive and believe the truth makes you free. And I said, let me just say something to all of you pastors here, because some of them like me, and I can tell them some of them don't, and some of them have been vocal about it. One of the pastors, he wasn't there Tuesday night, but he actually, when I first came out, he wrote a blog about me that said, you know, this guy's getting all this media attention and being treated so favorably. And, you know, what about those of us who were in the trenches and doing this all these years? And I thought, let me show you 100 hate letters I got today that might balance it out with you. But he said after he met me, he retracted that and wrote a completely different piece about me. And we've done events together. So for the most part, it's good. But I said to them, I said, let me just say something to all of you here. I said, I respect what you do. And I said, I don't pastor a gay church. I said, most of the people who are with me are straight people who have been with me for, some of them, 20, 30 years, who just hear my voice. And the fact that I came out was kind of incidental with them. I said, I'm not saying that's better than what you're doing. I'm just saying it's different. So there are certain things that you're probably going to be involved with that just aren't my thing, like HIV awareness and some of that. I think it's great that your church is embracing that, but it's not really fully relevant to my church. And I said, but please know that I love you guys and I respect what you do. And I think everybody has to be true to their call. And so many of them come up afterwards and said, thank you for saying that, because I think they felt like, you know, like what I thought what I was doing was better than what they're doing. Like, no, I get what you're doing. I'm not against, I understand why there's some black churches that want to be black churches. I understand that. That's not my calling. I understand why I'm not defending it, but I understand why there's some white churches that's your thing. That's not what I do. There's some people that have sat into my ministry that they go to certain churches now, and I think, how could you go to that church? I mean, after sitting under my teaching, how could you go to a church that is clearly and intentionally non-integrated? I mean, really? Don't you think that's a step backwards? But they don't see it that way, so that's on them. I have to say, it's part of the seasons, and as every time the season changes, I'm going to see him more in my reflection. We are not just going around this way, we're going up this way. So that every time there's a revolution around the sun, it's not just a revolution, it's an evolution. And so we go to a higher level. This will be the best fall that you have ever had, because you know stuff now that you didn't know last fall. You know how to enjoy it. Sometimes people say to us, I can't believe y'all just, every time it's fall, every time I look on Facebook, y'all are standing by some waterfall. And I said, I know, because the leaves are only pretty for a few days, and we love that. Sorry it bugs you, but if it's, the leaves are turning and he's off work, we're on the road. We like doing that. Somebody actually said to me, it just makes me tired. I look at you standing on a mountain. It makes you tired to look at a picture of me? Let me check your status. Oh, you're single. Yeah, that sounds about right. It makes you tired to look at us standing in the woods by a waterfall. Wow. It's just, we're not hiking. We're driving in an air-conditioned automobile, getting out, taking some pictures, and then going to eat collard greens somewhere. Like what? That makes you tired. But with me, I want to enjoy every bit of it. That's one reason we're going to go to Florida for a couple of days. It's like I didn't get the fullness out of summer. I didn't see a beach at all. Well, no, that's not true. We did go a couple of days, but it wasn't long enough. It was like as soon as we got there, it was like, well, we got to roll tomorrow. So this, I got to go look at it one more time. I got to go say, give me just a little bit more summer, and then when I get back at the end of the week, I'll say, okay, now summer for me is done, and I'm ready to. And it'll still be hot a little while, but I'm ready to get out some flannel shirts and go in a different direction. That is a metaphor for the way our life is. I am happy for every part of my life. I don't know what's going to happen in this next season. I mean, I'm in talks again with the 10th reality show. And this one, I talked to the guy day before yesterday. I said, what's going on? He said, well, we're still casting it. And he said, we've been working on a couple of other shows, so it hasn't been on the front burner, but I interviewed somebody else today because it's going to be an ensemble piece. And I said, well, that's fine. Just keep me posted. Clearly, after 10 proposals, I have to believe the universe is trying to tell my story. So I'm at peace with it. And people say, well, I don't even think I'd want to be on a reality show. Well, you weren't offered one. That's easy for you to say. Probably if you were offered one, you'd be saying, really, how much does it pay? You probably would be. So, and if nothing materializes from it, then I'll say, well, there was that one season where I got interviewed by, you named the producer they interviewed. So I was, if nothing more, it was that. And I got to see the way television works. But it could, some people have said to me, well, you're going to lose all your privacy if you do that. Well, so if you ever Googled my name, I lost my privacy some time ago. People have been discussing me a long time. So yeah, if I can sort of make it more my story and not what other people think is my story, then yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm not even stressed over that. I can't be stressed over it. I can't. I learned this little thing this week, and I'll be fine by tomorrow. But I just thought, I can't do stress anymore. I don't have the tolerance for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I can't handle it. I'm not that. I mean, believe me, I can, if you want to go, I can go. It's just, it's not worth it to me anymore. And what it does to my spirit, I understand why Jesus said, agree with the adversary quickly when you're in the way with him, and stop, if somebody's making a point about something, that's on them. Let them make their point, but it's not your argument. It's not your, it's not your thing. And like even this woman in Kentucky, I'm looking at her and I think, this is not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop the law of the land. It's not going to be reversed. I'm already married. So Doss is already married. So I'm like, well, that's just the last little bit of something about that. It can't be that surprising that somebody would, get their 15 minutes of fame out of it. So she did her thing. And to people that I know very well, they're like, I can't believe we live in a world where people are going to jail for their beliefs. Nobody told her she couldn't hate gay people. She is totally free to do that. But she is an elected official. That means there is a job description. And if you're going to, now I'm going to say something, I would assuming if she's apostolic, she's against people drinking. So what is she going to tell people, there's going to be alcohol at your wedding? Because if there's going to be alcohol, I can't sign this. I mean, it's ridiculous. But there's no point in me breaking my serenity by getting into that argument with some woman that just needs to get her hair cut and put some makeup on and get happy. Oh, did I say that out loud? And have a glass of wine. Somebody buy her a drink. Start a tab. I'll pay for it. Did I say that? That was the NyQuil talking. But by next week, I'll tell you what our topic's going to be. But I want to exhort you to embrace the season that you're in, whatever that season is. Sometimes when you feel like you've lost something, you haven't really lost it. It's just the season was over. Enjoy it as long as you can. Enjoy the last, there's always that last little bit of summer, that last little bit of fall, or that last little bit of something, but enjoy all of it. Before you know it, it'll be Christmas again. There's no point in griping about it. Christmas is awesome. And so many people miss the holiday because they're griping about, I can't believe that, they're already doing it. Well, then fine, don't listen to it. If they're playing music too early, frankly, I enjoy it. I mean, Christmas music makes me happy. Usually by the time January comes along, okay, I'm done hearing that for a little while, but I enjoyed it until I heard my favorite songs. I'm like, I still haven't heard that one and that one and that one. Okay, there it is. Okay, I'm good. My season is satisfied, and then I'm ready for it to be January. Ecclesiastes 3, such a true statement. To everything there is a season. And if you go on down to verse 15, he says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. That's why the scripture can say, precious in the sight of the Lord are the death of his saints. Sometimes it's not beautiful, but when it's seasonal, when someone has lived out their years, you don't want to see them suffer anymore. It's a beautiful season. It's a painful beauty. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, this is and believe me, I think about it all the time. I looked at my parents last night and I thought, I try to make sure every time we're together, it's as good and positive as it can be. Because, I know what you've been through. I know a lot of you have lost loved ones. So I try to enjoy the season while I have it, which is one reason I don't want to waste the time in strife. Because if there's a line in that, I love Cat Stevens. It's not his name now. Now he's Yusuf Islam. But back when he was Cat Stevens, he used to sing this song, oh, very young one, will you leave us this time? You're only dancing on this earth for a short while. That lyric really stands out to me. You're only dancing on this earth for a short while. And a lot of songs have used the dance metaphor, like the Garth Brooks song, The Dance, or even that Live Like You're Dying song. But I like the poetry of that. You're only dancing on the earth for a short while. And you know what it makes me think of? I used to watch Soul Train every Saturday. That's when I ended my Saturday TV watching was over, and then I started my chores. But I had cartoons in the morning, usually a Tarzan, politically incorrect movie, and then American Bandstand, and then Soul Train. And after Soul Train, I'm like, okay, I got stuff to do. But you know, the thing that was iconic about the Soul Train experience was the dance line. Remember when everybody would stand to the side and somebody would, you know, they would do their thing. You know what I mean? That was their, you know, that was their little moment in the sun when the camera's on you. You're not in a dance floor full of people, so this is your time to audition. And if somebody said, "Oh, I don't like the lighting," or "This isn't my song," or whatever, all they're going to do is go on to the next person. They don't have time to. Don Cornelius don't have time to be videoing you griping and complaining about the Soul Train line. So what you got to do is you got to look in that camera and bring your best moves. You got to not just dance, you got to bust a move, because you just got a few seconds on that dance line and then we're done with you. So when you think about the seasons, you think about every opportunity that you have is your minute on the Soul Train line. And you don't have time to be talking about why it's not good for you. Like, you know, I can't dance to Marvin Gaye. You got to give me something else. No, we didn't ask. You just got to dance. So make it work. That's the scripture saying the kingdom of God is at hand. It's like, what have you got in your hand? Then make it work. Do what you can. So, well, because you know what I'm talking about. And, you know, I remember looking at those people, they'd be so happy. They'd be looking right in the camera, you know, because that's their little moment, you know, and that's really what life is. You just, you know, you just have a moment here and you need to make it memorable, you know, and say, well, who is that guy? The guy that came down the thing, or that girl, you know, remember her because she did something that made a difference. Now, every time you think of the Soul Train line, it's going to be a prophetic word to you. You know what I mean? We'll add this to this. Now we'll do that. You do a little of that. Whatever it takes. You got to get your attention on the Soul Train line, Jesus. You got another song for me, Chandra, and then we'll close out, or are you done for the day? Come on back and sing one more time for me. It makes me feel better to hear you sing. Let's all stand, and I'm not going to play the thing about giving today. You know what to do. If you have a check, make it the JESM, and Danny will be back there for you. If you have cash, you know, I'm fine with, I know Freddie and Roz fed the homeless over at the park, and they want to keep doing that. And you know, I'm certainly not going to tell you not to do anything. But also, the cash that you have every day, take it out and do something. You don't have to wait till it's organized. You could just, you know, there's people all around that, you know, need you to reach out to them. So do what you can. When we do something organized, be a part of it, but don't wait until then. You say, well, I got some cash in my pocket, and it may not be a homeless guy. It might be the person next to you. You don't know. They might not have any cash today. I know I've had people, I have money, but there's been sometimes I've been without cash, and somebody came up and gave me a $20 bill, and guess what? You know what? It made a big difference that day. I was like, girl, you have no idea how timely this was. So, Chandra's going to sing, and then you're going to be dismissed. Once again, welcome the awesome Chandra Carelli.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let her use this mic, BJ. Oh, she's got her own mic. Please, come on up.
You gonna turn it on?
Turn the mic on.
Oh, that was a good word, Bishop. Ooh, that was good. That's all right. He just waited till the last minute to give it to you. That's all. You know what? You know, I remember when the bishop came out, and you know, a lot of people were asking me about it. You know, and my answer would be, "Oh, that's my bishop." You know why? Because I know who he really is. I know he's not hiding behind some facade. He brave enough to tell me that, tell me the truth, reveal who he really is. I knew, I said, that's the man right there. Because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for truth. Yeah, I wasn't looking for somebody to play like they were all of this and all of that, and there ain't none of what they saying they are. So that's why I tell him, I said, oh, that's when I knew he was my bishop. It's all about you being who you really are. That's why I love Metron. Yeah, yeah, get your hands together, come on. I want you to dance. Did things that I can't even talk about. But God knows I don't even have to open my mouth. That's why I'm sold out. I just got to say it, that there's no doubt I would not have made it, but God worked it out so I could see the real me, the one He wants me to be. Old friends think that it's a fact they don't believe. That God has changed and satisfied all my needs. Past things I did, I just had to let them go. All because I was stupid and I just didn't know. Oh, I'm sold out. I just got to say it, that there's no doubt I would not have made it, but God worked it out so I could see the real me, the one He wants me to be. 'Cause my purpose here is to instill the love of God. So I'll change my will, let His be revealed. Now talk about people, I just got to let you know. 'Cause if you thought that I'm foolish, I'm not no more. Oh, I'm sold out. I just got to say it, that there's no doubt I would not have made it, but God worked it out so I could see the real me, the one He wants me to be. Yes, I'm sold out. Yeah, I'm sold out. I'm sold out. Oh, talking about the real me, yeah. Talking about the real you. I want to see the real you. Yes. Thank you, Lord. Woo!
God bless you. Go in peace.